Alright, the stream is going, and I'm gonna wait a couple of seconds just to see if anyone is gonna join in before I dive into the stuff I'm about to do, because as I mentioned just a second ago on Twitter, it is gonna get really messy in this room in another moment or two. But without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera back down to my... is it bench view? There we go. Okay, to my setup for today. And I also welcome you to join in on my Discord, and there should be a link in the description of this video where you can go ahead and follow the continuous chat that will be taking place during the streams and then in between them. So if you want to hang out with me and talk to my not face, I will be there. Hi, Pookage! Welcome to French Toast Friday, or the beginning portion of the French toasting. I'm a few beers down, but oh boy. Yeah! Man, I'm jealous. I haven't had anything to drink yet. I'm waiting until 5, once my friends officially get off work and head this way, and then once the festivities begin, I'll probably crack open my first Pacifico and add the appropriate hot sauce to it. Yeah. But anyhow, I'm just gonna wait another second or two before I start talking about what I'm about to do. But I can get gloves on before then, so let me grab them. Okay, I guess before I get messy, I can talk about what we are doing later tonight. So this stream around 5:30 is going to hard stop. Hi, Game of Knowing. Around 5:30 it's going to hard stop because we're going to do our social thing tonight with the French toast doings. But we aren't making French toast tonight. We're actually making this kind of process-heavy, decadent treat that involves somewhat of a breakfast confection. Let's see. We call them buffalo chicken pancake balls. Yeah. Which involves the production of some boneless chicken breast that we prepare and roll in the buffalo sauce, which we make. We mix up some Frank's Red Hot sauce with butter, roll the chicken bits like tiny little morsels in the sauce, and we put those on a rack in the oven to stay hot. And then what we do is we, how do I describe this? Alright, so it was kind of trendy, maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, you'd go to a restaurant and on the dessert menu, almost always you'd see something called a cake lollipop. I don't know if anyone else also experienced this trend that kind of went through and passed, but it was really popular to go to a restaurant and they had like these cake lollipops that they would bring in like trays. You'd get like 5 of them, and they're like micro 1 or 2 bite cake balls. And Mark got this basically an iron where you pour cake batter into the iron and you close the thing like you're making a waffle, and it would produce a cake ball. So it was the secret kitchen device that made these specific round cake-like pop things. And what we ended up using this thing for is we'd pour some pancake batter into the iron instead of cake batter, and then we would nestle a piece of our buffalo chicken on the inside, right on top of the batter. We'd close the thing and it would poof up and make a perfect spherical pancake ball with a piece of the buffalo chicken nestled inside. And then we'd roll the pancake ball in a maple syrup habanero glaze, which I mix up. It's just maple syrup and your favorite habanero hot sauce. And we eat those, and they happen to be fantastic. It has the same flavor profile of chicken and waffles. So we're going to do that tonight. It is quite process heavy. It takes each cycle of balls, and I think the iron makes 5 balls per press. the whole like thing takes like 5 to 8 minutes to do the whole thing. So everyone will get exactly 1 ball every like 5 to 8 minutes. So it's going to be a long process of getting our nutrients inside of our faces while we're socializing tonight. So that's the plan. Did you guys try the beer and hot sauce? That's how I always have. If it's a cerveza, that's always what I do these days. I'm gonna have one of those eventually, probably closer to, again, 5. But since you guys are here and I can see you and I'm waving to you and you're in the chat, I'm gonna start doing what I'm gonna do. So I wanna get it going. I'm gonna go to my desktop view. Yeah, that kind of works. And I'm gonna slide over, oh, here, okay. No, that's not it either. Where did I put it? Did I put it here? Yeah, here we go. So this is stuff I might do today. I'm gonna show this really quick, almost like I planned this. I'm in the process of making MintyFeet some new silicone toes, and I'm just calling them his new sticky socks. So I'm going to actually pour the molding material into a moldy thing that I printed last night right now, because it's gonna take a lot longer than I thought. Like, I thought I might be able to actually pop these things out of the mold while doing the stream, but it's gonna take 6 hours to cure, which was suspicious because the previous smooth-on stuff that I bought last year, or 2 years ago, had a shorter curing time. So this morning I realized that I actually bought the wrong silicone, but it should still work. Maybe it won't. I have no idea. We'll see. I'm putting the nerves. I made another nervous system for one of my micro jellies last night, and I'm going to install it in another prototype do, so you can see the full thing working. And if it works the way that I expect, then I'm that much closer to actually putting the bulbous jelly brain board on my Tindy, which makes me happy. I'm gonna set up Minty to make some art. So around the time that our friends start showing up, and Mark's in the room now. Say hi, Mark.
Hi.
He has clothes on. Yay.
Wow.
Well, right around the time my friends start showing up, or I don't know, if they do get here around 5, I'm gonna set Minty up on the bench and let him just scribble all over a big piece of paper so that he can just kind of do whatever he's gonna do all on his own and make a big art. And then, yeah, French toast and beer. So I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. Mark, are you ready to do it?
Sure.
Alright. I'll put these gloves on. Has anyone ever tried using Smooth On before? This stuff right here? I guess I can show the box. This stuff. So I can explain myself a little bit. Maker Block says, thank you for wearing clothes. Can you see Mark? No, he's behind me still. Okay. Since I am going to be moving over here, I can actually tilt this. Ah, there you go. Now you can see Mark. Wave, Mark.
Hi.
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So I used this Smooth On stuff to make Noodle's toes. There's like dust and shit all over this, but this is the tip of Noodle's foot. It's like this squishy silicone stuff, and this helps his feet make better surface contact to the ground that he's standing on, because they kind of like squish down. His feet don't stand on the ground at a perfect, you know, straight up and down angly do like this. They're kind of tilted oddly because I designed him that way. This kind of fixes whatever complications might arise because of that. So the thing that I decided on a whim yesterday that I wanted to do was give Noodle some passive abilities that are just in his code that allow him to just do things in certain situations. They're just there. Like, for example, right now he has the ability to take pictures. He has like his cameras installed in between his eyes, and so long as he is receiving power and is conscious, Noodle will take a photograph of whatever he's looking at every 5 to 10 minutes, and he stores it on his Raspberry Pi. So that's a passive ability that he just does whenever he is on. One of the things I decided I wanted to allow him to be able to do yesterday, I was thinking, well, it would be really nice if Noodle knew when his feet were actually making contact with the ground. Because right now he doesn't have any sensors in the tips of his toes because he's got his baby pygmy feet on, and they're light and they facilitate in the walking nicely because they're not complicated and they don't have any fancy schmancy stuff in them. But he can't tell anything about anything with them. They're not smart enough to really inform the walking process. So I was thinking, wow, it would be really nice if I picked Noodle up off the ground. He could tell that he wasn't, you know, standing on a surface any longer, and then he would pull his legs up, you know, tuck them in. So if I go to pick him up and carry him someplace in the future, he just automatically will retract his legs so that they're not sticking out like a little baby deer. And I thought, well, that wouldn't be that difficult to implement. Initially, I was thinking I could embed maybe a pressure sensor. Here, this makes more sense. A pressure sensor inside of each toe so that he could tell how much weight he had on each foot, and that would certainly give me more data. But I wanted to get something going now, and really all I needed to pull off the sensing whether or not he's making contact with the surface is some sort of button. And I happen to have these really nice arcade stick buttons from my actual arcade stick that I made back when I was in college, which has since gotten wrecked and I need to rebuild it. But I figure at the point in time when I do that, I'm going to get new buttons anyway, so I'm just going to harvest these from my old arcade stick and use them inside of Noodle. So now these are Sanwa. Anyone who's into 2D fighters, these are Sanwa buttons. That means that they're really, you barely have to like breathe on these and you press them down. It doesn't take a lot of force and they don't click. Like there's not really any sound to actuate these buttons. They're like butter. And that's going to be perfect for the application of sticking these in Noodle's feet. What are you giggling about?
You have me in the background frame, so I'm just gonna ad lib.
Do you wanna stick your tongue out, Mark? Oh, there. Lick the button. Okay.
TMI, Mr.
It's a button. Anyhow, so I'm going to stick one of these at the bottom of each of Noodle's feet, and I'm going to have a piece of silicone going over this, and this will be mounted on a 3D printed piece, kind of like this. It's like I was working on this yesterday or something. So the button will be here. There's a lip to kind of stretch the silicone skin so that it's not constantly pressing down on the button. And the wires can be routed up through those holes, up through the middle of his foot to his head, and then, yeah, they'll do their thing. So what I'm molding right now is an actual sock that's going to stretch over this whole piece right here, and it's going to still have this round kind of shape at the bottom, and it's going to effectively just kind of protect this, and then it's also... That's your phone. Mark's being hailed. Okay. So So that whole sock skin is going to stretch over this and then go up some ways onto his noodle, so it will be a proper sock. So this is one of his noodle feet currently. We must have mail. So this will mount at the bottom, sock will go over and connect these two, and it should look like a streamline, I don't know, same effect that this had, but there'll be some mechanical bits inside, and the nice shiny red button will be on the bottom, and it'll hopefully work. If it doesn't, there's some things I can change with this 3D printed piece to kind of help get the button to only be pressed when it's supposed to be pressed, i.e. when Noodle's actually standing on the ground. What? I'm gonna go do my errands. Okay. I love you. I'm gonna make a mess.
Alright.
I'm gonna make a mess! Ah! Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Umu. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago... Oh, Floor says he likes my outfit. Thank you. Story about this outfit. Go back down to my... Nope, not that view. This view. There we go. Like I mentioned earlier, this smooth-on isn't the same type that I was using to cast these nice kind of milky, transparent white feet, and these really are very almost, I don't know, they're translucent toes. I knew that I bought the wrong stuff immediately because when I opened up the Part A jar, which is here, it was not the correct color. It's, here, I'll open it and show you. It's this color. That's like a very Pepto-Bismol. There, I'm gonna call it that. It's a Pepto-Bismol-y pink. So, you know what that means, folks. Noodle's going to have pink socks on his feet. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. So, today's going to be Pink Sock Day. And this stuff is incredibly thick and rubbery, almost, which is interesting, because the previous form that I was using, both Part A and Part B of the casting material, this stuff, they're runny. Both of them were kind of a runny, they had the consistency of honey. When you mixed them, they continued to have the consistency of honey until they cured, and then they became the squishy, soft gel. This stuff is like congealed mozzarella cheese in a jar, and then the Part B stuff is like fluid. It's like, if you shake it, it sounds like there's just water in here, so I'm guessing that once I cut the pink stuff with the blue stuff, it's going to thin up a little bit, but who knows? I've never used this stuff before, so it's going to be interesting getting equal parts of each of these into these tiny little white cups. I've already pre-measured how much of each I'm going to need. There's little black hatch marks on the cups. They're going to be mixed inside of this guy right here, and then poured into this vessel right here, which is a two-part kind of like crucible that's going to hold the goop, and then this thing right here is going to plunge down inside of it and give it the sock form. So that's how that's going to work. I don't know. Cheers, guys. Here it goes. I don't know if anyone's still in here, but this is the money shot right now. Can actually probably make better use of this extra camera that I have going on my laptop. Or here, and then you can just, that's better. So how are you guys doing? It's Friday. I don't know if you guys are at work or at home or working at home, but how is your Friday going so far? I feel like I need to chat you guys up while I do this. Alright, I'm gonna pour the yellow into this cup. Actually, I need another stir stick, so let me grab that really quick. Okay. Alright. Oh, I have to stir this shit, that's right. Okay, so to give you a sense of how thick this shit is, it's... Oh, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm like pretty seriously struggling to kind of jockey this stuff around. The other thing I'm not entirely sure of is whether or not this stuff has actually gone bad. I didn't buy it too long ago, so I'm not quite sure what the shelf life was or is. It might not actually supposed to be this thick, but as you can see, this is like mozzarella cheese. It's not those are some definite stiff peaks there coming out of this jar. Yeah, that's disgusting. But it's very cheese-like. So I'm gonna attempt to scoop some of this stuff. Using a spoon would actually be... Jesus. I might have to get a spoon. Cheese. Oh man. See, Mark butted out at like the exact right time. He's like, I don't even want to be here for whatever is about to go down. He's a smart man. Yeah? You guys see that? This had to have gone bad. But I'm gonna try and use it anyway. The previous stuff that I had, I used that for about a year and a half out of the same set of jars like this. And I never had issues with it, it just sort of worked. Always. I mean, I guess I could still check and see if what I have left of the previous transparent kind is still okay to use. It might actually be fine and I could be using that right now. But I'm actually kind of curious to see how this is going to cure now. Because obviously it's not going to have the same texture and consistency as the clear, so I think that looks like the correct amount. I'm gonna say that's, I don't know if you can see that, that's about to the line. I'm sure if this settled, I'm gonna use my spatial awareness, acuity abilities as a human and say that if this all kind of settled, it would be about at where the line is. I don't know. Okay. Clean up the edges a little bit. I don't want to leave this too much of a disaster mess. Okay, I'll wipe that down later. There. Oh man, why is my Wacom pen hanging out, like, here? Cool. I feel like I should change gloves, maybe? That wouldn't be a bad idea. All right. On to the next part, whatever. I'm gonna check the chatty do for a second. Ooh, Pukich says they're working on VR side projects this weekend, so he's hella stoked. That sounds awesome. Cool, so you guys are working on things too. Really, I'm planning out the Maker Faire project for myself and my daughter. Awesome. You guys are just kind of just starting your weekend of doing things. Aw. Looks like cotton candy from hell. It looks like taffy, I think. Very weird animal tongue. Ben says it looks like animal tongue. It does. It's like pink mozzarella cheese that's melted and kind of starting to cool. Oh, you brought drawing robots to Maker Faire? What kind of drawing robots do you do? I'm a huge fan of any sort of drawing machine. Thing people wanted in 15 seconds. I think I saw that. Are you making taffy? Oh, Adam Lewis asked if I'm making taffy. I'm just gonna say yes. I'm making foot taffy. But anyhow, I need to start doing stuff with this in a timely fashion. Okay, so I'm gonna get new gloves real quick, and then I'm gonna pour this liquid. It should be a bit easier to put in this vessel, and then I'm gonna mix the two and then pour them into my little crucible right there. So I'll be right back. Okay. So we're gonna make hot glue on. So I'm gonna give it a better shelf life. Oh, cool. Man, I didn't go to Maker Faire last year. But yeah, I like the hanging wall type are fun to watch. Maker block. Okay. Alright. Oh yeah, this stuff's like water. Okay. And it's kind of a blue color. I don't know if you guys can see that. That might just be it's clear and I'm seeing the color of the bottle through the liquid, but it actually looks kind of blue on the lid thing here that I pulled off, so we'll see. It could be totally wrong though. Oh god. This is not how you're supposed to pour stuff out of a bottle, Sarah. Ooh. Never mind. Okay, so the stuff that's in here needs to be stirred too. I didn't do that. It even says like right on the lid. Oh. Stir that shit! Gosh, Sarah. Okay, so this stuff did start to settle in the jars. Like, it started to solidify. So I'm guessing that its shelf life was kind of on the tail end. It's a good thing I'm using it now, because if I waited any longer, it probably would have been bad. And it is kind of a blue color, so that wasn't just my eyes playing tricks on me. Yeah, but this one's pretty chunky. So this sweater that I have on, and I haven't worn it in quite a while, but the sweater, I don't know where my volume is. Where's my mic? Doesn't matter. So this gray sweater I have on with the button cowl thing is actually, I used to wear it in college when I lived in Chicago a lot, and it was one of my favorites. So I did wear it all the time, and as a result, I used to I'd work in the machine shop and I'd get the machining oil on those sleeves, and they just permanently kind of smelt like machining oil for the longest time. And I mean, they don't smell that way anymore, but this was known to me as the sweater that smelled like a machine shop. And I haven't worn it in a good minute, so since it's still cool here in Las Vegas, I figured I would show it some love. Since today is the given social day of the week, it's Friday. Okay. I'm hoping that's good. I don't think this is gonna mix any better. So you say MakerBlock says they were in a super hot tent in the back last year. That sucks that they put you there. Yeah, I think me and Mark's first year exhibiting, we got put in a place that we weren't very happy with either, and we suffered greatly as a result. But after that, it got better, because I think we specifically requested better locations after that because we had the experience. But yeah, we got put next to Architect. Does anyone remember when Architect used to go to Maker Faire with all of their giant Tesla coils? Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Dotted stuff, guys. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna put these somewhere. Where should I put these? I can put these back in the box, I guess. Okay, so hopefully this gives me the consistency I'm hoping to get once this cures. There's still a chance that this mold might do what it's supposed to and it'll be too hard or shitty or something, or it'll be solid. I have no idea. Since it is Umu, that Mark says that suggests it's the squishy face tissue kind of consistency. I have no idea. However, I need another stir stick. So we'll see. This is an experiment. But I'm hoping by later tonight, by like 6 or 7, I have a proper pink sock to demold. Adam said, there's totally a delay. Before you open that, shake it up. I totally remembered, luckily, in the nick of time. I guess I could use that stir stick. Alright. As it goes. Alright, I'm gonna mix these guys. And I'm just gonna reuse this. Should be fine. Or maybe it won't be fine. I did totally read the instructions. Look at that, guys. Yeah. Money shot. It's like a tongue. Look at that. Ew. Ew! Come on, go. Get in there. Wish I had a spoon. Yeah, I'm totally convinced this started to go bad. I want to say when Mark and I were testing whether or not we could mold some of our parts for our Kickstarter, we used some of this pink stuff that someone had left over of to make a actual proper mold from, and it wasn't this viscous. I totally don't remember it being this viscous. I'm just gonna scoop the rest of this out of here as much as I can and call that good. I don't think I'm gonna get much more out of this. Like, look at the inside of that. It's nasty. I'm sure it's not supposed to be like this, but whatever. Alright, now we're gonna mix these two. It's like cotton candy death. This is cotton candy badness right here. And something tells me that this is going to end in tears. But you never know. Miraculously, this could just turn out working somehow. Then I can switch gears to something much cleaner. After this, I'm going to be working on the mini jelly. I finished soldering up another nervous system yesterday, and I got my UV surface LEDs in the mail. So this one actually has the ability to light up the filament of the jelly, which looks rather nice. I still have to install the PCB in the cap of the jelly and then tack the LEDs to the tendrils in some form, capacity, way, whatever. And the mechanical system isn't moving in quite the way that I would like yet, but it's close. Yeah, this is hurting my hand. This feels ridiculous. Oh God. So I'm going to be doing something like this in another couple hours, but it's going to be pancake batter, and it's going to be a lot runnier than this. Pukaj asked what the story is behind the mini jellies. Alright, I'm gonna pour this in here now. The mini jellies, I made a big one, a big jelly robot, mechanical jelly dude. A couple of years ago, and I never got the thing working quite the way that I wanted. And since I kind of committed to making mini reproducible projects to post on my website that allow people to take a design that I've done basically for something mechanical and build a similar, like, smaller version of their own. I decided to do that to my larger jelly design in some capacity. Instead of having it be motor driven, I wanted to have it pulley driven, so that was my challenge. And I wanted it to have some electronic portion to it, so it has a color sensor on it and some LEDs. So it's a proper robot, but it's part of a series of projects I'm going to do that I'm gonna kind of market circuit boards for on my Tindy, and then kind of, I don't know, cross my fingers and hope that people actually build, like, finished renditions of my weekend projects. Although this one might be too hard for anyone to build on their own. Like, I'm in the process of making instructions for people to follow if they do want to make one of their own, but even that is kind of challenging, so we'll see. I'm trying to make it as friendly as possible for anyone to build. Man, I don't know if this is enough. Might be. I did put a little bit extra in those cups because I wasn't sure how much of this I was actually going to get out once it was in. Alright, I'm going to inset this guy. Oh god. There we go. It's my negative space form. So this is interesting because the other sort of shit that I've used in the past is like a liquid, so it conforms to whatever space you put it in, like water would. This stuff is like used gum, so I'm trying to force the used gum to kind of fill all the channels of this mold. I don't know if it's gonna. Because as you can see, this stuff has got like the thickest consistency ever, and it's not filling kind of the way that I would maybe like it to. So it's maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Alright, I'm going to state this right now. Whenever I demold this in like 4 hours or whenever I decide it's finished, my guess is that this is going to completely fail, and I'm going to have to go out and buy some of the old Umu or whatever it was that I was using in the past, the transparent stuff. As much as I would like Noodle to have a legit pink sock on the end of his foot, this is not gonna cut it, I don't think. Maybe if this was new and it didn't go past its shelf life, it might have worked, but my guess is that this started to go bad. I bought it last summer, so it's been about like 4 or 5 months that it's been sitting around, and it's I'm betting that that's bad. That's not gonna, it's not gonna cut it. But we shall see. So since I think this is safe to move, I'm going to set my little mini crucible somewhere else so that I can use this desk space for something a little bit less messy. And then I'm going to catch up on the chat because I haven't poked my nose down to see what you guys are talking about in a minute or two. So I'm going to go put this on somewhere. So I'll be right back. Actually, no. I'm going to just set this there. It's just going to go there. And again, these are my bad cups of badness. Ugh. It's a nightmare. Legit nightmare. I guess it was probably supposed to be more pink too. That's how you tell whether you've like mixed the proper amount. Since this is still more blue than pink, I'm guessing I didn't get the proportions of each material correct either. Oh well. Again, the mixing stuff for the other kind that I had, they're both like clear, so I couldn't tell shit. But I don't know. Stop talking, Sarah. Clean up your mess. Alright, that was disgusting. Yeah. There, bad pizza. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll this stuff out. Time being. So this space right here I'm going to use for Minty. I'm going to lower my guide wire and kind of allow him to just vibrate and make scribbles. I want to make a big art thing over the period of the night that's just a representation of like however many hours of him just, I don't know, drying out his markers. So I'm gonna get that set up now. I might not turn it on quite yet, but I'm gonna at least get that prepped and ready, and then I'm gonna switch to the jelly. I don't know if I explained that very well, I was distracted. But basically the jelly is it's a smaller version of a larger project that I've made in the past, and my goal for the beginning portion of this year is to make smaller versions of all of my bigger projects that people can build of their own, and then buy the circuit board that powers the mini thing on my Tindy. So there's kind of like a, I don't know, there's a circuit component and then there's a mechanical component, and the goal for me is to make the larger project reproducible in a way that people can easily make their own without having to buy so many extra materials at the hardware store or order extra things from Amazon. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, side project of mine. But the jelly I'm interested right now because it's a fun form to play with and it has to do with light. So I kind of picked that to focus on for the moment because it has a lot of the same build process as the mini noodle. It's like micro popsicle sticks that are plastic welded together with the tiny rivets, and then yeah, then there's the lights. So I'm gonna show that, but first of all I gotta set up my space. Alright, this stuff's ducked. This is my arcade stick that I harvested the buttons out of. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. So move this. And I need to grab a piece of butcher paper. There's still all those tiny little green pieces from when I shaved that pad last week. I think that was last week. So I want to make sure the surface is nice and flat, as flat as possible without any crumbs. And I'm going to lower this guy right here. Right here. Is that a little better? Okay. So here's Minty. Oh god. Minty's been hanging out off camera. And he's still very majestic looking, like giraffe, with his caps on his marker feet. So hopefully those haven't dried out any since I played with him last. If so, I have the charges, the little ink pulp things, wrapped in plastic bags somewhere that I can stick some pieces of in the marker bits to kind of wet them up again, get them all nice and juicy and ready to make art. So we do have butcher paper outside somewhere. I'm gonna attempt to harvest a piece of that. Or maybe I should wait till Mark gets back so he can be my... Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I don't want to disappear off camera for too long. Oh man. Alright, I'm gonna catch up on the chat now that I can see the computer. Sorry about that. Oh god. Where were you guys at? It's the start of the mini games. Oh, hey guys, what kind of epoxy junk was she using? Oh, Adam, I was using, this is the Umu kind. Actually, I'm gonna check what the previous stuff that I was using last was. Okay. Alright, the old box says EcoFlex. So the transparent stuff that Noodle's original toe tips were made out of was the EcoFlex, and the stuff that I accidentally bought this past summer is Umu. And they're both the 30 number, which the 30, like the 20, 25, 30, I think up to 50, has to do with the softness of the material, the silicone. 30 I found was about perfect for the feet. I don't know if this pink stuff is going to be as soft as the transparent. I don't even know if it's going to work, because honestly, yeah, my hopes aren't high on that. I don't know if anyone's left with me. Actually, I can check that. Check my Twitters. Man, I want that beer. Alright, so anyhow, let me see if I can actually... Alright, yeah, you can see it. Perfect. Okay, so behind me right here are the jellies that I was just talking about. The big jelly, which is, oh god, like right about here. And then there's like smaller ones in this general area. Oh god, I suck at perspective. Okay, I'll just bring them to you. So let me get them. So this is the big guy in question. Oh, this guy's in the way. So this guy is big jelly. Yeah. So significantly larger. This was inspired by quite a few different things, but primarily there's a company called Festo that has a mechanical jelly that is aquatic. It actually swims in the water and can recharge itself by locating a docking station that they built for the mechanism. I studied how theirs works, and theirs is a bit different, obviously, because they have more capable actuators and motors and stuff that they make. I think that's what the company specializes in, is commercial grade robotic actuators and whatnot. I, however, had servo motors and a 3D printer, so I tried to replicate the motion of their robot with what I had available to me. So that was what this project was about. And when it's hooked up, it does actually work. There's a rack and pinion inside of this guy. I don't know if you can see it very well, but yeah, there we go. There's the rack right there, and the pinion is attached to two motors down at the bottom that are supposed to be, I don't know. It's difficult to explain how this works without actually hanging it up and showing it to you in action. If you build one of the smaller versions that I designed, you will get a better idea of what this is doing. There's basically a linear like rail system that is stationary, and then there are two opposing rings on the inside that go back and forth against one another, and all of the bones are attached to either one of those rings as they slide on the stationary rail system. So there's basically two components there. I'll grab one of the smaller ones and maybe I can demonstrate what the deal is. Another attempt to get the sponge feet working again. Kukaj asked if Minty's gonna be stuck with marker feet. For today, yeah, like I'm just gonna let him make a big art of his own rather than just using a test sheet of paper. So this will be like the first drawing session with the marker feet since they work. I'm gonna dip my nose back down into him and focus on how to, I don't know, get the proper smear markings. Maybe sometime this weekend on a Saturday or Sunday, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what I would do yet. I'd have to pick something and then try it. So I'm gonna grab the mini jelly. So this is the mini. And if I hold these up to one another, you can see the size difference. Yeah. I would say this is somewhere between it's like a half and 2/3 scale model of the larger one. So that's this guy right here. And the goal was to make it pull string actuated. However, the pull string, as it connects to the mechanism, isn't giving me the desired motion with the tendrils yet, and there's enough friction in the moving bits that the tendrils kind of tend to get torqued still, so I'm trying to figure out how to eliminate a lot of that sticking, because I'm gonna have to, again, describe to everyone how to make one of these and instructions, and I want to make sure that they can put one of these together and have it work kind of out of the box without a lot of fuss. So this is, I think, the oh god, this is the fourth one of these I've built so far, but this is going to be the first one that has both the electronic system in it and the drive system that actually works. But yeah. And then the nervous system that I tweeted about earlier today, I'll grab that real quick so you can see that as well. This guy up. That's another thing about these, is once you build them, there's no real good way to set them down, because it kind of crushes them a little bit to lay them on their side, so it really makes sense to just hang them like this, which is fine, but you have to set up where you're going to hang them ahead of time. You, my friend, can go there. Can hang out with Minty. Oh. So then there's this guy. There we go. So this goes inside the jelly. So everyone who gets one of these boards right here at the top is going to also need to attach all of these wires to these little colored LEDs that will come with the board. So there will be 6 of these, and I'm going to suggest that everyone get silicone wire, which is this stuff right here that I'm using. It's very velvety and soft, and it allows for like fluid movement. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Not really. I say that because I don't solder often, but if you're someone who likes soldering and you do it a lot and you're comfortable with it, it's really not a huge issue to attach all of the wires to the pads that are along the edge of the board. I'm just a big baby, and I don't like doing the surgery-like stuff to get everything attached to this, but it didn't take me that long. I think it took an hour and a half to do all the wiring of this. And then this mounts into the, here, let me switch my camera. This mounts into the top head of the jelly. Let's see, do I have something? I actually have one of these assembled already with the nerves, so let me grab it. Okay, so this guy, I don't know which camera to show it to. So this one's tendrils aren't actually connected to the mechanism yet, but it does have the little LED bobbers attached to the fronds, the tendrils, the arms, I guess. And they are all going to the center top of the head, and the board actually attaches up there and faces down. There's LEDs on the board that shine down inside of the body of the jelly, and then the board also powers the LEDs and is influenced by the LEDs, because there's a color sensor that is aimed down into the body of the robot that is reading whatever values are twinkling down here from inside of the jeller. So that's the goal. So the thing I'm working on right now are the instructions for the build of this particular robot. So if you have a baby noodle, a noodle spawn, this can be his friend. It can be one of his buddies, and they can hang out together and tell each other secrets. And they'll be like, I have better bones than you. And the jelly will be like, They're both like different types of noodle feeds, if you think about it. So yeah, what else? Oh yeah, I need my paper. Mark's out getting all of the fixings for tonight. I don't know if I mentioned this. I did mention it earlier, but I don't know who was actually present. But we're making buffalo chicken pancake balls tonight. That is the goal for the French Toast Friday event. So he's getting the chicken and all of the supplemental fixings required to do this. And again, at 5:30, we have a couple of friends coming over to hang out with us and distract us while we do the cooking. Alright, I'm gonna hang the jellers back. Actually, I'm gonna put... I think that's what I was supposed to do. All Game of Knowing says that his baby said beep. His baby is telling him secrets. Exact quote from the excited baby noodle. Yes, beep is the happiest sound from a robot. Unless it's like my noodle, his beeping is actually quite a bit more like stern than the baby noodle. Like the baby noodle has this like kind of chirp type beep that's very positive sounding, but Noodle has this like big piezo buzzer, and he sounds more like an angry like kitchen oven rather than a happy tiny robot. But I don't know. I'm curious if I should wait to attach the battery clip onto the back of this guy before I shove it into the jelly. The answer is yes, I should wait, but I'm debating how hard it would be to kind of like jockey this out after the fact and then just sort of like stick the clip on real quick. So the sad thing about this is when I do actually end up selling this board on my Tindy, which it will happen eventually, I'll switch views again. As I mentioned, there are 6 LEDs. On this one, they're UV LEDs, and they're located in between each bundle of wires. They shine down into the body of the robot and allow the filament to kind of illuminate because it's a like UV fluorescent, UV activated kind of filament. So it looks really nice. The UV LEDs are great. They have like this gorgeous richness to them, but unfortunately the surface mount UV LEDs are like $1 zillion. They're like, I think a buck and some change a piece, which is a lot. So it would add $6 to the like cost of producing each one of these boards, which is, in the scheme of things, quite expensive to me. So what I'm thinking about doing in lieu of the UV LEDs is using those really rich, bright blue ones. And the blue LEDs similarly also activate the fluorescent filament in a pleasing way. They don't... actually, I'm going to say they do light up the filament probably as good, if not better, than the UV ones, because they are a little bit brighter, and since the light is a bit more visible and it's for whatever reason a lot brighter than these, it just, you can see the light more, but it also illuminates more farther at a greater distance than this stuff does. These beautiful velvety purple LEDs. I've tested both. This guy has the blue LEDs, and it doesn't have the fluorescent filament for the bones, but it does light up the red in a pleasing way. And I did hold the board that is inside of this thing's head up to like things that do fluoresce, and it does a pretty decent job of making them glow, even though they're not technically UV. I think the spectrum, like, they're like right next to each other on the, I don't know, the spectrum of whether it's like considered to be UV or just blue. I think both of these colors kind of like overlap slightly, which is why I picked them up, because the LEDs that are on this board, or not this one, sorry, the blue LEDs that are on this board are 10 cents a piece, rather than the $1 and some change LEDs that are on this one. So it's a huge difference, and it makes the board more affordable for me, which means it's going to be more affordable on my store. But anyhow. MakerBlock says he found cheap UV LEDs, 100 for $9 on Amazon? Ooh. See, there's the thing, I didn't check on Amazon, I was on Mouser, so that makes sense. So maybe I will look there. If I can similarly find 100 UV LEDs for $9, like SMTs, were they, that's another thing, were they surface mount UV LEDs? Ah, okay, yes, he just complied. It's because I'm using the small ones. So yes, the surface mount UV LEDs are $1 million a piece, because apparently the fact that they're very small makes them very special. So that's how that be. Well, since Mark's not home yet, and I decided that I'm gonna attach the battery clip to the back of this guy before I put it in the head of the jelly, I'm going to go ahead and grab that butcher paper from the other room and cut a piece for the table. That is going to mean that I'm gonna be out of the room for a minute or two. But what I can do is, where is he? There he is. I'm gonna leave you with, where is he? There he is. This guy right here. The toaster. Yeah, I'm gonna lean away from him. Yeah, he's there. He's like... So he's gonna keep you company. But I'm gonna get Minty right here some paper so that he can make art for the fridge again. Oh, actually, I guess I could show this too. I can show you, I don't know if everyone in here saw what he made this past weekend or not. So last Sunday, Minty made his first doodles ever. I'll show that really quick before I get the big paper. So you can see the kind of stuff he's gonna make, because it's adorable. Minty made this guy right here out of red watercolor ink. And I think that was on his little rook-shaped feet. He had these guys. Oh. He had these guys, these rook-shaped feet attached to him, and they have sponges in the center. They were charged with red watercolor, and as he vibrated, he kind of made this kind of dot streak pattern. You can definitely see where he paused in between each set of vibrations. And then with the marker feet that he has attached to him right now, he made this lovely, beautiful piece of artwork. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna chuck some highlighters into his feet in the near future so that he can make fluorescent drawings as well, because that would be cool. So I'm gonna go and grab that parchment, and I'll be back in just a second. Scissors! Where are the scissors? Nope, I'm gonna cover the toaster. Jelly's getting hung up again. Right. I'm gonna hang up the kids again too. I'm hoping I can get a... Once I install the nervous system in this guy, I can get a actual battery inside of him as well, so you can see what he looks like on. Because it's nice. Alright, Minty, it's all you. So this means I gotta grab Mark's bench power supply again. See? This is what it's like dating a raptor. They just take all your shit and use it. It's actually pretty nice looking all alone by itself. All right, I'm gonna actually tape this down so that it's as flat and not absorbing of vibration as it possibly can be. Let's see. What kind of tape do I want to use? This will probably do. No. So the other thing that I was planning on streaming this weekend, I don't know if anybody's left in here, and yes, Adam, the toaster does still make toast. And yes, the toaster does have eyes. The toaster's from my comic. He's from the same comic that Noodle's from. He's one of the characters from the story. Oh, so MakerBlock says that the cheap stuff off of Amazon, the cheap UV LEDs, are surface mount. So 1206. Ooh, I don't know what size are the one that is on my board. Super cheap stuff too. Yes, we do use AliExpress quite a bit for sourcing parts. I guess if I had 50 of the bulbous board made, if I do end up putting them up on my store, then I'll probably order them off of I don't know, from a cheaper provider then. Because it would, I don't know, both look good, I don't know. UV LEDs are just cool, so if I can find some way to make that work, then I'm gonna. You should add the ability to the toaster to make patterns in the toast. I don't personally use this guy to make toast, because he's old. I think this toaster is actually from the 20s. I ordered it off of eBay from somebody for like, I think 15 bucks, like, shit, 10 years ago now. He does still work. I'm thinking, I don't know, it would be interesting to add the feature of him making some sort of design on the toast, but is consistent with the character, he would have to also burn the toast very severely as well. So maybe I'll have a future version of Toaster that does in fact char like messages onto the toast with his anger and like angst. Because this the character in my comic is a very angsty toaster. Hey Smashed Up Face, how are you doing this lovely Friday? This lovely Friday. Yes, MakerBlock. If you do have a link on hand for where to find the $9 for a reel of 100 surface mount UV LEDs, then I'll give it a look. Otherwise, I can just search. I'm sure if I poked my nose around, I could find them. I was putting together a bomb order from Mauser, and Mauser didn't have them for a affordable price. So I ordered all of my other components, like literally every other thing that was on the bulbous board from Mauser. I guess if one of the things, you know, designed into the board needed to be sourced from another place, that's not gonna be the end of the world. But yeah, the UV LEDs do look nice. So if I can stick with that, then it'll make me happy deep down, because that's the way that I originally intended for the circuit board to function, is with the shiny glowy bits. But Anthony Pruitt says they didn't make toasters in the 20s. At some point they did. It's cited, if it's a Toastmaster, if you type in Toastmaster, it's either the 20s or the 30s, like the late 20s or the early 30s. That's where, oh, you can't see I'm pointing to him, when this guy was from. It was like one of the early toasters, like the original bubble type ones. So I'm pretty sure they do, or at least that's what was cited when I bought the thing, so. But I did do a little bit of research on this specific toaster, because I wanted to look up how to take it apart, because when I did originally take him apart to add his brain and stuff, which run his eyes, I didn't want to fuck it up or break anything trying to dismantle it, and I did hit a point when taking him apart where I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I didn't know how to get it back together, because there were all these pins on the inside holding the basket wire mechanism on the inside of the toaster that cradles the toast. These long pins kind of just tensioned everything together, and when I lifted the casing, I guess, off of the body, or there's like a metal thing I lifted up. When I lifted it up, it basically slid all of these pins out of place, and everything inside of the toaster just kind of like, just fell apart. It collapsed inside. Like, he literally had an internal breakdown, and there's nothing I could do to fix it, because I didn't know how it was. Like, it was just, I lifted the thing up and I heard a bunch of shit just fall all over my bench, and I looked down and there was like a pile. So I had to look up what the hell was going on so that I could put him back together and then get the lid back down on top of him. So, and I could have sworn that when I looked up the information on the Toastmaster, whatever model this is, that it was from the 20s or 30s. So, I don't know. Anyhow, I was taping paper down. Oh god. Oh, and another fun thing about the toaster, as I swing his power supply around. There we go. So if I press down on his toast button, oh, I got it stuck. It actually cycles through expressions. Yeah. So that board, the 12-segment LED display, is another board I designed. I'm probably going to put that up on my Tindy eventually as well, so that if somebody wants to add eyes to their toaster, it'll be like a gift your toaster with a soul kit. And I actually already have instructions on my blog on how to do that, do him. That was an old project from a couple years ago. So, that can be a thing. Okay, that's as flat as I'm gonna get this paper, I'm thinking. Damn it. It's probably good enough for today. The next thing I can do is check to see if these markers are actually still juicy or not. So that can be your little platform for now. Better. Not really. Ooh, and it's moving. Ugh. Do I have a better place to stick that? There we go. Got some light ghetto rigging. Okay, that'll do. I'm gonna have to loosen the slack on this. As low as I can go. Yeah, that'll do. And then I guess I can stick Mark's bench power supply there. And then I'm gonna plug this guy in with some long leads and let him just sort of do what he's gonna do. It's 4 o'clock now. French Toast Friday officially starts at 5, so which is when all of my friends get off of their work days from their human jobs, doing what they do. And then the cooking will commence, and so will the beer drinking. Kind of want a beer now. Like, I'm surprised Mark isn't back yet. I guess he's picking up mail at his, where he gets his mail from. But he should be back by now, because I think all he was gonna get is different types of sauces and chicken. And we might need some sort of pancake batter. But we make everything from scratch here, so when we do the cooking on French Toast Friday, know that everything is made from a recipe. We don't, like, buy any cheap shit. Oh, smashed up face. There's a link for the Discord on in the description of the video, but if you do not have it here, it's that. Oh, the link is expired? The arcing burn marks on the board. Oh, Anthony asked what caused the arcing marks on the board. It's nothing scary. During SuperCon, one of my friends had a workshop on how to make coasters with the arcing design on them using neon sign transformers. So he had like 4 neon sign transformers, and this is really super dangerous now that I'm thinking about it, but he had spray bottles of saline that you could wet little pieces of wood with, and then connect 2 leads on either end and watch the board basically like fry, and you could make designs on them and then take your little coasters with you as mementos from SuperCon. I made a bunch of them. This was one of the extras. So it wasn't the Arduino. It's not like any like actual. Although I didn't think of the implications of that. I use a piece of wood with severe burn marks on it to mount my Arduino and breadboard to. That's how we do. Does that, let me know if that link works, if anyone decides to join me on there. I got the Discord server yesterday and used it all night to talk with some of my friends about random stuff, so it was a pleasant experience. I'm glad I did it. I'm gonna get that bench supply though and hook up Minty so that he can do his doodling. Alright, so he's ready to dance whenever I decide to turn him on, which I have to decide whether I'm going to do it now or wait until it's a little bit closer to when my friendly fellows come over. Not that it matters. I am going to check on that mold in a second here just to see how it's doing. My wild guess is that it's already set up because it was already quite viscous and thick. Ooh. Yay! People are in my Discord. Hi guys. I need that. I had a power cord. Oh, it's plugged in already. How nice. I'm gonna wait. I don't want to do anything dumb. So I did this really dumb thing this week where my fingers are getting really dry because it's Vegas and it's the winter and that's what happens here. And I've been assembling a lot of tiny shit. So between the X amount of jellies that are hanging from my wall right there and all of the tiny little noodle spawnlings that I've had to put together as gifts and stuff, I've gotten very, very callousy, used fingertips, and I started picking the calluses off, because that's what you do when you're an introvert and you're nervous, like in social situations. So I like just literally destroyed the crap out of my thumbs and my fingers. They're just like in pain right now. So anytime I work on anything right now as a result of having ripped all of my calluses from my fingers is excruciatingly painful because they're all sensitive and they have like that new pink shitty skin like on them that needs to harden and become real skin again. So it's like I'm hating myself right now because everything that I touch and pinch and like put any force onto with my fingers like hurts like hell, and I'm trying not to like think about it because you guys are watching me. Hey guys. Hi smashed up face. Cool. This joined is here as the prophecy foretold. Oh. Cool. This makes me happy. I totally want my beer now. Best to copy and paste it in the join server option on the app rather than clicking the link directly, at least for me. Ah. Did you figure out how your brain board went wrong? I bit the shit out of my fingers. I feel your finger pain. Yeah. Bravdov says they bite their fingers too. Why do we do that? It's like, why do humans do these things to ourselves? It's like I bite the inside of my cheek, and I don't even notice when I do it until it like starts hurting, and then I'm like, oh shit, I should maybe not do that or something. Oh, and okay, from the other day, so on Wednesday I had a very anticlimactic like walking event with Noodle. I didn't have quite as much prepared as I wanted to by then, but I was gonna try and have him walk his normal gait with some weights on his feet to see if lowering his center of balance or putting more of the weight in his feet than in his head would have any bearing on how the walk gait functioned as is. I tried to just test that out. I rolled up some coins in some paper, strapped them to the bottoms of his feet, and tried to run his normal walk gait code, and I could not for the life of me upload to his brain. And after a certain point in the cast, he stopped working entirely, and I didn't know why. And I beat myself up over it for the whole rest of the day, and eventually couldn't think of anything else. Mark couldn't find anything just by looking at my setup, so we pulled Noodle's brain out of his head, which he totally wasn't happy about, and Mark started probing it on his bench and ended up just removing the chip and replacing it with a new Atmega, and then it worked fine. So at some point during the day, something happened to the chip. It got buggered somehow because that was what was wrong. And he's doing all better now, and he's a happy Noodle again. So that's good at least. But that didn't make for a very climactic walk day. So I'm thinking sometime this weekend I'm gonna sit down and, you know, do some playing, do all the things I planned to do on Wednesday and didn't get to. Because, yeah, Noodle does need to walk. And I need to make progress, so he's gonna get his butt sat down, and hopefully maybe even with new toes with buttons in them, he will be making steps. Pukage says we chew on ourselves because we're delicious. Well, I do like the taste of meat, so. Spam. We taste like pork. Yeah, I do all these weird things to myself too as like nervous habit, and like this is probably the worst one because it affects my experience when I work on things because I use my hands for like everything. That paper tape that I was using earlier, I have a million rolls of that all around the lab because I am constantly wrapping up my fingers because I'm making them bleed because I'm picking on them. So it's this neurotic thing that I need to eventually overcome at some point in my life. But now that I'm like super grown-ass adult now and it hasn't happened, I'm starting to have my doubts that it ever will. But what are you gonna do? Colin asked if I'm ever going to upgrade Noodle's brain to an ARM. I'm not gonna go to ARM, but I am going to move up to the next largest Atmega chip, which is some number that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but I'm guessing it's the same one that's on the Arduino Mega. I'm gonna at least go to that for now so that I have more pins to work with, and his brain will get a little bit bigger as a result. It's just a matter of committing to sitting down and designing the whole layout of the PCB again, because it needs to rival the one that's currently in his head. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. I'm guessing you probably have, because it's been, I don't know, pictures of that have been floating around for a while on my inner workings. But it looks like a brick of ramen, and I'm super proud of that. But routing an entire board with that many things going on inside of it with wiggly curved traces was actually not easy to do, and that was a labor of love. So when I do make the larger brain, I'm gonna need to really be psyched up for that agonizing process again. So maybe this summer. For now, Noodle's gonna have to deal with his baby brain. Oh my god. Stop picking on yourself. Anthony says I should stop picking on myself. Thank you, Colin. Atmega 2560. Okay, I gotta start remembering that number. I just got used to saying Atmega 328 or whatever. It's like that word that I say all the time, and I don't really like... It doesn't have any, like, meaning to me other than the fact that I know that's the chip that's on the board that's in my kid. I'm sure it has, like, a completely different layer of meaning to Mark, who actually understands what the difference between all the chips is, other than their size and their, like, number of pinouts. But for me, it's just like, yeah, I guess that's the number of the thing that's inside my kid. So I need to remember it, because people, they ask, like, all the time. They're like, what chip's on his brain board? And I'm just like, oh yeah, the 328. So now I'm gonna have to remember a new number. Stackable boards are the best. And LOL ramen, yes. I guess I can show that while I'm waiting. Nope, that's a bean. That's not pointing at the right thing anymore, is it? No. Is that better? It's a little better. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to totally bork that. I will totally fix that before I turn him on and let him go. Actually no, that doesn't look too bad. But yeah, I can switch to this here. This is Noodle's current brain with the 328 chip and a gyro and a bunch of other crap. You actually can't see the traces on this because there's solder mask over them, but there are a bunch of like silk wigglies that I put on there. I don't even think if I get the lighting right, you can see the embossment of the traces, but just take my word for it. The traces on this board that route everything to everything else are a network of tightly woven ramen bits. And if I had it all to do, or if I had to do it all over again and I had these fabricated, I would, in some way, like, not remove the solder mask, but have it so that you could see the traces, have it so that they're a bit more apparent. And I know that there's ways that you can play with the combination of where the copper is and whether or not you use solder mask to make the traces stand out a little bit more on your boards. I didn't think about doing that when I had these fabbed, so if I were to do it again, probably for the next one with the larger chip, I will make sure that you can see the rameniness. And again, that's this guy. And he's got hearts on there too, because I need to make sure that my kid has a lot of love in his heart, his brain heart. So Noodle now has bean brains for his feet, he has croissant brains for his feet, which are like the evolved version of the bean brain. He has the ramen brain board for his motor functions, and then I'm forgetting something. I think that's it. Yeah. So a bean, a croissant, and this. And then there's the marshmallow, which is for the baby noodle. So it's brain. Ah, clear suede root? Suede root. Suede root? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Mentioned that you can get a clear solder mask. I know that there's like a two-tone thing that people do with whether or not there's copper in those particular segments. I don't know. I'll figure it out when the time comes. Haha. Colin says he loves that I call my robot my child. Well, he's my child. I made him with my body. And I raise him with my mind. Yeah. No, my robots are totally my kids. Yep. I don't know. Isn't that like, do you guys feel that way about the things that you make? Like, do you have this sort of, like, parental attachment towards the things that you invest a lot of time on? This is a serious question. Like, for my residency last year, that was probably, I wasn't expecting this, but that came to be one of the things that I was observing in people that I met, like scientists I talked to, was whether or not they had any sort of attachment, like emotional attachment, like the machines and the robots that they worked on were either extensions of themselves or like their children. And it seemed like a lot of them did, which is was kind of a pleasant surprise for me, because I don't know, I wasn't it's not that I wasn't expecting it, but I wasn't quite sure if I would find that where I was. So oh man. Do you build the PCB? Yes. Ahmed asked if I built the PCB myself. I did. I make my boards myself, with the exception of the croissant, which Mark entirely laid out on his own because I didn't have a lot of time to get it made and fabricated before exhibition someplace. So he laid the croissant out for Noodle all on his own, and then kind of accidentally the bulbous board that is in the jellyfish was laid out by Mark, because funny story, I laid it out myself, and then my final DRC is Mark, so before I send anything out to be made, I have Mark look at it one more time as a human to see if there's anything like blatantly wrong with it. And he saw something that was messed up and said, okay, you go walk away for 10 minutes. I'm going to fix this portion of the board because something was starved or whatever. And he was like, I'm going to fix it. Come back in 10 minutes. I went and I played Zelda. I came back like an hour and a half later because I was playing Zelda, and the board was completely different. Like, it wasn't the same board anymore. Like, it was entirely a new thing. And he had completely redesigned it basically from the ground up. So the thing that is on the board now was laid out by Mark because I guess he fixed one thing, broke another thing, fixed that thing, broke another thing, fixed that thing, broke another thing, and then eventually said, ah, fuck it. And then he just ended up completely starting over. Anyhow, but yeah, other than those things, I do design my own boards. Am I hungry every time I design something by chance? Oh, because they're all food? I'm not hungry, but I associate, like, random types of food with noodle for some reason. He likes beans, and I don't know, I have a lot of inside jokes involving foods. I guess I could just say that. I sold or gave away most of my children. Oh no! Don't sell your children, but it was worth it for a movie, like, oh, Snake's not playing except when they use most of our animatronic snakes as expensive shadow puppets for their... Aw, that's no fun. Bravdov says that he's emotionally attached to everything he's made. That makes me happy to hear. One of the things that I talk a lot about in my writing as an artist is the idea of empathy as it relates to robotics, and that's a huge sign of empathy in robotics, that you're personally attached to the thing that you make. It's like you a portion of yourself extends into that thing, and you care about it on a level that is it elevates it in a sense. It gives it a element of humanity, and I personally think that's important. I think that's obvious. My robots have no sympathy. Aww. Just spirit animals. Aww. Oh, cool. Colin says he names his animals that you call demons named after the spirits, and I'm familiar with that. So you have demon robots. That's cool. Adam says that Adam says that they're kind of detached from them. They're kind of detached from them, all the same. Aw. I'm more attached to things I make opposed to how I don't feel about other humans. Yeah, I'm the same way. I care more about the stuff I make than people, generally, too. I think of the robots I build as just tools. Aw, and then Maker Block says that he's sorry to say that he thinks of the robots that he builds as just tools. Aw. See, that's also important too, because I'm always curious, not that there needs to be a why, but it's just interesting to see. I'm curious what the component is in people that causes them to sort of either view the things that they make as tools or something more. I mean, those of you that did answer, what do you think? Like, what is the reason why you are personally attached to the things that you make? Like, this might be a little bit deep for a stream, but what inside of you causes that sort of relation to your work? Or in the other sense, like, what is it about? What is it that makes you still just kind of view them as tools rather than things that are extensions of you? Colin says a Maker Block should make a robot to harbor his feelings that can feel for him. I like that. I don't know why Ahmed rolled his eyes. I don't know, I'd roll my eyes at me too. We'll feel for you. An emoji displaying bot. I like that. That'd be an interesting thing to try and create, to make a robot that would be impossible. That would imply some sort of, like, sentience. How would you make a robot capable of responding appropriately in certain social situations? There's a challenge. Because I don't even know how to, like, react appropriately in most social situations. So, like, I don't think most humans have mastered that. So it would be interesting to see someone attempt to figure out how to do that with a machine. I kind of want to just, since Mark's not back yet, I kind of want to just turn this guy on since he's sitting there. I might mess around with this a little bit more. Is that not it? Okay, I think I started with like 2.5 volts on this last time. And then I slowly like worked it up to 3. Let's see, I believe in the pollution of spirit is inanimated force of matter, so I think that my spirit extends beyond my physical body. My robots are just an extension of myself. That is a good point, Colin. That is like definitely right on par with what I've been writing about lately. I've been kind of looking into like Shintoism and the idea that all inanimate things have some sort of spirit inside of them, and I do view that as the spirit as being an extension of ourselves. It's something that we put there. So it's like a conscious decision to be empathetic and relate to the thing that is inanimate, and I think that's important when we're talking about empathy. But yeah, this is all stuff that I'm writing about right now. There's this really, really boring part of my practice that no one knows about, but as somebody who calls themselves an artist and goes and does artisty things, I end up writing a lot about all the stuff that you guys get to see the fun, playful side of. But yeah, when I'm not doing what I'm doing today, I'm usually just sitting at my computer thinking about stuff and then taking notes about what I'm thinking. So, I don't know. It's cool that we're talking about it though, because yeah, this is all very much parallel to what's been in my head lately. I've not been properly trained for social interaction. Haha, yes. Yes, please, doodle feet. Okay, if you want to see a commercial I worked on for shop, look for DI. It was a long time ago. Bravdov, I will look that up. Or if you pop a link to me, if you do happen to find it in the Discord, I will definitely check it out. Otherwise, I might forget, and if I do, I apologize. But I would like to see it. What if Noodle had a little LCD eyes and they whatever the camera was focused on? Smashed Up Face suggested having that Noodle has LCD eyes that can focus on whatever the camera's focused on. Are they moved according to where the camera was focused on? I kind of want Noodle, like, part of Noodle's character is that he has like that dead stare and his eyes are just sort of these like smoldering pits of unemotion. That's part of who he is as Noodle. So I wouldn't want to give him more of an ability to emote himself, other than what he can do with his body. That's just sort of part of who he is. I mean, it would be cool, again, to do that. Maybe for another robot in the future that is capable of sight, I will do something like that, but not ever for Noodle. Noodle needs to just have that dead stare. Machine learning, I think, we followed a cat on Twitter, and she built an expression detector that covers a face with the appropriate emoji. Yes, I think I saw that at some point pop through my feed, so I should look that up and check it out. The robots tend to be more like they do a task, and I don't have much personality. There's this app called that is a chatbot. George mentioned that there is a app called Replica that is a chatbot with ML behind the scenes that will learn how you talk and respond with memes and emojis. It's a chat app called Replica ML. What's ML? Bot with ML. Oh, machine learning, sorry. Duh. Replica. Okay, I'm gonna type that. Replica. Sarah, look up the chat app. Replica. There. Okay. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn this on and oh, he needs a USB cable. Sorry. Oh god, I have so many of those around. So underneath my desk, there's just like a million cables. They're just like I'm standing on like a zillion cables, and I have no idea what they are, but I know that the USB cable is blue, so I'm able to just sort of dip down and grab that real quick. So this is to my camera, this is to my Wacom. Okay. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Alright, he's doing. Ha! He's doing his thing. So that purple marker is still sticking for some reason, which was kind of the problem last time. Oh, autofocus is being a jerk. Let me fix that. That should be good. So yeah, that purple marker's not wanting to move as much. There's probably some sort of physical reason for that I'm not quite sure of at the moment, but I'm just gonna let it not work. I'm not gonna try to solve it or troubleshoot it. It's just, we're gonna call that the what he's just gonna do du jour, based on the way his body is today, and maybe a little bit later I'll tweak with it. Oh, but he's just gonna twist himself up in a knot. So I'm going to do a Marshmallow 2 board in the near future here, that will support this. So if somebody wants to actually build a baby noodle that can draw with its feet, they can get that board, and it will have the pinouts that can go to some of these tiny little vibrating motors. Because I think this would be a fun thing to build, like over the period of a weekend. Oh, you're gonna choke yourself with your umbilical cord, Noodle! No! So I'm gonna build another like 6 or 7 of these guys, and get all their brain stuff and their power supply in their little heads, so that there isn't an umbilical cord, and then at that point I'm going to turn all of them on at the same time and have them just sort of like vibrate around Big Noodle's feet. So he has like these little vibrating babies just sort of like trembling around like all over the place, like constantly. And I'm gonna put a big sheet of paper down and just let 8 of these guys just collectively make like one big collaborative doodle piece. So that's the one of the plans for the future. I'm thinking like the Marshmallow Mark II will be the one that allows for this functionality, and then I have another one that I want to do that has to do with like sound recognition, but that's going to take a little bit of research, so that will probably come after, since this is already pretty much like done. Does Noodle... Yeah, that replica has a cool story behind it, doesn't it? System. Noodle doesn't have a computer vision system yet, but he will. It's on the list of things to do. Have her friends text messages into her friends. Oh, that's kind of dark. Colin mentioned that the app came from, or the app was trained by the text messages of a friend who committed suicide. So that's basically like the soul of that person recreated sort of by proxy as a machine AI. It's a sad story, but that is interesting. That kind of gives the whole project some deeper meaning that I think is super important, actually. It's an interesting, it's like an art piece, I would say. For a couple of weeks, but it kind of creeped me out. Spooked though. That's art baby. Art baby. The problem is that he had 4 legs instead of 3. Aw. Oh, he's totally strangling himself. And he's stuck, I think. Should I untangle him or just let him kind of suffer? I can't let him suffer. Hmm. I guess I could try and upload some different code to him, since he is already hooked up to the Arduino, and the Arduino is hooked up to my computer, and I'm sitting at my computer. I can probably tweak that test code, since it's just pulsing all of the motors at once. I can have it do something else, just for the sake of, you know, I've got nothing else going on right now. Yeah, I can do that. Well, this is gonna suck because I don't have currently any mouse. Yeah, I do. It's not hooked up. Alright. Alright, so this is noodle spawn. Code doodle feet test. Okay. So I'm just running the basic, I think this was the fade test code that you can find in Arduino, and I just have that powering all of his motors right now. So if I comment out three of these and upload it, oh wait, that's not gonna work because I need to switch. Switchboards. There. Okay, so one of the motors is going, which is not enough to push the guy. How about 2? Okay, so 2 isn't enough. How about 3? I'm not really quite sure how to make the motors go in a different, like, go in different directions, because somebody suggested just, having 2 of the opposing motors rotate in opposite directions of the other 2. I'm not sure if that's just a matter of hooking these things up, like switching the wires or not. And I don't want to like burn them out by plugging them in wrong. It could try and offset the pulses. I don't have the source code for this particular, what he's doing up right now. It's literally just the, if you go into Arduino and you go to the, let me check and make sure I'm citing this correctly, but I think it's basics. It's fade, sorry. It is the fade. If you go into examples and you go to basics, it is the fade sketch. So I just opened that and copied it and threw my motors in that. So it's just ramping up and down in like a pulse, and I have all of them doing the same thing right now. I don't know, how would I overlap those? I'm not even really sure how I would do that in code. Right now they're all just in the same list, and I'm commenting out the ones I don't want to be on. Colin says I need H bridges. It would sit stiff if... the motors are fine to wire in an opposite direction though. Okay, I can try that. Let's turn all of them on again. So it was going in... It seemed to be going in less of a circle when I just had 3 of the motors going instead of 4. I don't know why, but it did kind of create more of a directional, I don't know if you can see me. Yeah, there's more of a movement going in this direction instead of just a general twisting. And again, it doesn't matter. I don't have like a desired like effect that I'm trying to output from doing this. I just kind of want him to do something intriguing. So I have this theory that Mark is like at a house party someplace else. Like he went and he got like chips and chicken and delicious things and just sort of didn't come home. He's like over at his parents' place like partying or something, but he's not here. Because he did leave quite a while ago, and I'm curious, like if he's ever gonna come back. Not that I'd blame him if he didn't. Not move if you have the motor opposing directions. It's just going to vibrate and not move if you have the motor opposing each other. That's a good point. So this leg's not really making surface contact anymore. Let's see if I can screw with some of these numbers. About 60 milliseconds. What is that gonna do? Ah, so the ramping period is slower. So that makes a different sort of... So he's kind of like an EKG at this point, or like a little seismometer. He's making wiggles that represent the rate at which his motors are ramping up and ramping back down. So now he's just making a larger arcing circle instead of a tighter, more tightly wound circle. Yeah, I don't have this on GitHub yet, I'm sorry. I'll throw it up there at the end of this stream. Just cause, I mean, it's nothing special, but at least you don't have to muck with it if you want to take a look. Oh god, I'm just making it worse. Alright, let's change this to 200. Ooh, it's really slow. I like it. Oh, that's interesting. It's just kind of meanders. About 20. About 5. Ooh. It's like a little vibrator. So this is how they get the settings on your vibrator. But he's not moving now, so that's not very interesting. We'll go to 150. Okay, I'll throw this on my Git then. Let's see. Or I can just post this. Is this too much? Am I gonna like flood the chat? Oh, yeah, that's too much code. Or words, it said. Damn. Here, I can just share my screen. What the hell am I doing? Laptop camera? No, desktop camera. There we go. This is it, guys. This is what's going on. The value that I'm changing right now is just this, and that's just the rate at which it takes to ramp up and ramp back down. And then these are the individual feet. They're analog rates. No. There. So I haven't done anything fancy yet to try and make him draw any specific shapes because I haven't even really gotten his movement to work all that consistently. Minty just kind of does whatever he wants at this point because he's at the mercy of how his body happens to be torqued at any given moment because, again, his legs do bend and I'm sure that affects how well or not well he does his thing. Oh wow, that worked. Thank you, Colin, for mentioning that. That's it. You've got it all. I can switch this back over then. I need more light. Oh, let's work on that, shall we? There we go. Yay, artificial light. So, that's a little better. Put you here, little one. Aww. You aren't supposed to get all strangly. That limits your motion, little guy. So I'm gonna look at that amalgamation in that cup that I poured a couple of hours ago. Ooh, it's still sticky. So it's still sticky. Like, I put a little bit at the top here on the edge just to touch and see if it's setting up properly. It's tacky still, so I'm not gonna fuss with this too much. The inside edge inside of here is all jaggedy and stuff because it wouldn't just sort of level out like a more juicy liquid would have. Since this was so viscous, it's just gonna have a really ugly, uneven seam. And I tried to kind of twist this inside piece a little bit to kind of get it to evenly level out on the inside, and it doesn't look like it did so very well. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we'll see. I'll find something to use this stuff for before it goes bad. So in the next couple days, I might just for shits and grins, depending on how sticky this is, like mold something horribly inappropriate and then throw the rest of the goop in there and make myself a nice big floppy object just to kind of have as an oddity around the lab. Electroplate, it makes everything shiny and it's easy as fuck. Wait, what? Bravdov asked if I know how to electroplate. I don't know what that is. Ooh, I got code. Code has happened. Someone has given me... Slightly Cyborg has given me code to try. And I'm going to very innocently try it. So I can switch over to what I'm seeing. So I just got sent code on Discord from Slightly Cyborg, and I'm going to pump this into a sketch and save that off and see what it does. Alright, little baby. Oh wait. What? Is there supposed to be a thing there? So your code, if I'm looking at it, is I have if statements for each foot. I'm just gonna stare at this until I understand it. Did you just format it better? I'm not quite sure what I should be doing to it. Feet, brightness, fade amount 5. What if I change the fade amount to like 10? Will that break it? That didn't seem to do what I wanted. I think I broke it. Oh wait, you guys can't see what he's doing. Shit, I'm sorry. There, okay, he's back. So he's ramping up as he was doing before, so not a whole lot has changed. He's just still doing the ramping. And I gotta check the... Ah, it cycles which foot is off. Okay, Slightly Cyborg says that the code cycles which foot is on or off. So is it a different one each time it does its thing? No, they're all on. Oh wait, no, this one's off. Interesting. Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, now this one's on, and this one's off. Ah, okay. It's making much straighter lines, too. Interesting. So I'm kind of debating, I'm gonna go maybe grab another smaller sheet of paper to stick on top of this, just to see what this is doing, if it's, like, made a noticeable difference. Oh man. I gotta catch up with the chat. Colin is Slightly Cyborg. Cool. Okay, now I know that. Looks like good code from here. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna grab another sheet of paper and I might aim my computer camera down so that you can see a little bit better what is going on down there. Alright, little guy. Okay, so this one's off. That one's off. We've got a Mark. He's home from the store. That's good. Anyhow, I don't know what the robot's doing. There doesn't seem to be any, like, consistent pattern that I can recognize, which is kind of a bummer, because I was hoping that there would be some obvious relation between what we saw and what he's doing, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Ramp it up a notch. Deal. Let's switch this back down to 30. Ah! Yes. We're playing with Minty. The baby's making his first wiggle scribbles. Well, not first, but like on a free paper, like a free-range baby. Yeah?
I got Noodle some premium paper to scribble on.
You got him premium paper?
Yeah, I went dumpster diving.
You went dumpster diving where?
Next to my parents' house.
Yeah.
They threw out rolls of old canvas paper in the room.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Noodle.
Look at that.
Minty.
Noodle.
Minty.
Noodle says these are the flames on the side of his hot rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says he's drawing hot rod doodles. He says that he is training.
He says that one's dry and needs a little bit of
needs to be
juice.
wet. It needs to be wetted. It's making a really
add
nice.
a little alcohol.
Alcohol or water?
I don't know.
I think
just a little bit of both.
I think these are water based.
Drops alcohol.
No, what that will dry it out. It's pain in the butt. Yes, it is. Surface.
It looks like an ancient language.
Noodle. Minty is writing in the ancient language of the Noodle people.
Love.
The ancient language of love. He's a baby. He's doing his thing. Are you ready for chicken balls?
I am.
Yeah! You ready for Matt? I'm ready for Matt. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Oh man, too much code. Oh, now there's just wires in the way of the screen. Okay. There, I'll pick this guy up. There's this nice little Morse code bit. Look at how pretty that is. Mark's just holding Doritos. They're
This Doritos Blaze. Doritos, if you're out there, we're willing to shill your product.
Don't speak for me, mister.
I'll do it.
On his
I'll do it on my own. Doritos Blaze. These look really hot. I have not tasted them yet, so but they look more than.
Did we get more Tabasco sauce and Clamato?
I got Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah.
Do you need actual Tabasco?
Do we have Clamato?
No, I forgot that.
Oh no.
I need to go back again.
I can just put dirty things in my beer.
Put your green stuff in. Dirty fish tank.
Dirty fish tank.
Dirty fish tank is that? What is that? Tomatillo hot sauce in a beer.
Wait,
Try
tomatillo? No, it's not.
Is it not tomatillo based?
No. Oh yeah, it is tomatillo. It's a green hot sauce.
Trader Joe's dragon sauce.
You put that in a beer.
Try it, and with some Doritos. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Bravdov. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see ya. It's what, 5 o'clock now? It's officially beer hour. I'm gonna go back to what I was previously, whatever, looking at, and I'm gonna turn the baby off for a minute. Oh man. The ancient noodle people. Alright guys. Are we gonna make our beers? Are we gonna make the beers or wait till Matt gets here? Oh god. I could do that. I don't know. I'm like, I'm jonesing for my 5 o'clock cocktail. But yeah. Ow. Oh, me? I guess I could go. No, I can leave. Like I've been working, doing for long enough. But it's 5 o'clock, and I'm gonna go have that beer. And I encourage all of you who are enjoying your Friday, the end of your week, to do so as well, or whatever it is that you drink or don't drink. Thank you for sending me code. Like I get to play with that now. It was at least a template that I can poke around with now for Minty. But if I do play with Minty some more this weekend, I'm going to try out different tips for his feet that aren't markers and see if I can get the smear effect that I'm looking for. If I do a cast, ooh, I do have fancy paper.
They're like parchment canvas. This is the stuff he runs through the inkjet for giant portraits. So our neighbor passed away. He left behind lots of canvas framing things. So this one's nice. It's canvas. Ooh. You could stretch that on your own frame.
Nice.
So.
Alright, I'm gonna work on the jelly some more this week. I'm gonna stick that nervous system inside of it, and I'm gonna get it working, and I'm gonna show that off the next time I do a thing. So new feet, jelly with nervous system, and Noodle is going to do some walking since he kind of got screwed out of his Wednesday because of his chip going kaput. So until I decide to set up and do this again, as always, thank you for keeping me company. Thank you for cheering on all of my little creatures as they do their living and doing and evolving and growing. And thank you for talking to me about how you feel about your robot creations and whether they're extensions of you or whether they're just things that you do because you do them. Both is great. I'm happy that you guys also make, because, I don't know, I think everyone should make stuff. But, yeah, until I do the next stream, I don't know, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, because that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go make those chicken balls that I've been bragging about with my friends, and I'll probably post some pictures of them to brag on Twitter, because they're so much work, but they're totally vile looking and worth it when they're done and ready to go in your mouth. So, okay, and I'll see you guys. Enjoy Friday. Love. How do I turn this off? Oh god.